Welcome everybody to uSTADIUM's uFantasy Live. It's week 7. I'm Chris. That's Stefan. How's it going, Steph?
It's going pretty good. I'm excited for another week.
We are. I mean, it's one of those weeks where buys have run ravage on a bunch of teams. So we're coming to you guys today to give you some players that you're going to want to put in your lineups that can help you out with this buy-mageddon, as so it's been called this week for everybody. Week 7, I believe there's 6 teams on buy. So it's been a struggle to set lineups. You've had to be aggressive in the waivers to fill the holes because everybody's filling holes. Steph, we lost you, buddy. You fell down. But who's a player that you have in your lineups that you never thought that you would have in your lineups only because of these buys?
You really want to know what? It's really, honestly, it's Darnell Mooney for me this week in one league, and then in another league I have Marquez Callaway.
I don't hate them though. I don't hate them too much. Yeah.
It's just like you don't start off a draft going, all right, let me have Marquez Callaway. Let me have Darnell Mooney's more of a higher name, but like the Callaway part, I'm looking for like somebody, I'm like, is this gonna be like the guy I'm stuck with? Everyone in my league takes everyone else. It's like either Khalif Raymond, Amon St. Brown, or Marquez Callaway, and I'm hoping for that little boomer bust for tomorrow night, and Marquez can get maybe like 20 points if I could or not, and he's active. Thank you.
Yeah, he's active. He's ready to go. I believe Traquan he's still on the IR. There was talks about bringing him in for the week, but I guess they're going to hold him off an extra week. So Marquez Callaway is not a bad play. Chris Hogan actually retired. I don't know if he's going to go back to lacrosse or not, but he had enough of football this year. So
hey, he has 2 rings. He was part of those championship teams in New England. So you know what? If it's time for him to hang it up, you've got what you need. You played what you played and had a good career, honestly, overall.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad for him. It was a decent run for the guy. I think he caught 1 touchdown as a Saint, so it was good to see him at least produce something on his comeback year / retirement year. At least he waited until after week 6 and he didn't retire mid-game like that one Buffalo Bills player. I think it was Davis. Was it one of the Davises?
It was the Colts corner that
Colts corner, and then there's
Vontae
Davis. Yeah,
love our producer, by the way. Thank you.
He's got the names. He's quick with it. There's a good slate of games coming up this week. Are there any games that you're really looking forward to, fantasy wise?
To be honest, it's gonna be the easiest cakewalk of the week for me. It's the Cardinals versus Houston. It's the revenge game for JJ Watt, the revenge game for DeAndre Hopkins. So I'm expecting this game to be a shootout on Arizona's side. I expect them to blow them out of the water. I expect the DeAndre Hopkins to catch like 6-7 catches, a revenge game. I think this is one of the very true revenge games because this week is chock full of them. We got the Rams and the Lions and Goff.
That's a big one.
The Hopkins back with Houston, same with JJ Watt. I know there's another one I can't get on the top of my head, but this is the game I think will be a slaughter for the Cardinals. They're going to take Houston out back, take him behind the shed, and just do what they have to do.
put the Texans to rest, pretty much, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, one of the games I'm looking forward to, mainly because of the reasoning that you just said, and fantasy wise, it might produce some big numbers. Is the Jared Goff versus Matt Stafford QB swap, LA Rams versus the Detroit Lions. Goff has been atrocious the past 2 weeks. He hasn't been a fantasy producer, let alone a producing NFL caliber quarterback. But I'm hoping with the little bit of fire that's coming into this game that he comes on a little bit and shows the Rams what he's capable of. You think he's going to do it?
I think to me, it's not a revenge game for more of Matt Stafford. It's more of a revenge game for Goff, and it's an unfair revenge game because he's playing with like a stick, and the Rams are like torpedoes, or like cannons. They're just gonna fire on all cylinders. Goff is gonna have, I think, a subpar game. I'll give him 250 at the end, garbage time as well. Maybe I would say an over under 1.5 touchdowns because that Rams defense is scary. It's so scary. I had to take out whatever Lions players I had in any lineup receiver wise and just take them out because I don't trust it. I think there's no bad blood between Goff and McVay. I just think that the Rams chose the better quarterback, the better option to win now. And I
think there's a little bit of bad blood there. A little
I
bit
think,
of bad blood.
think
Just the way everything was handled, I think it was a little bit of bad blood.
I mean, to be honest, though, it just seemed like McVay wanted him out because it's like you're starting to get more passive. You can't do what Stafford does. And he fell in love with Stafford. And Stafford he's showing us why he fell in love with him.
And he's gonna have one of the best, if not the best, Aaron Donald coming after him. Says there, I told him get ready, and I told him I'm coming after him, so he knows what it is. So I'm excited, I'm hyped up for it. But let's get to some questions. The reason why we're here to help you guys win your weeks and ultimately your championships. I know we've got some built up, so let's get to it. Frankie V, thanks for tuning in, Frankie. Khalif Raymond, Zach Pascal, Kendrick Bourne, or Brian Edwards. I'm sitting Khalif Raymond there. I don't like what I've seen from him in the past 2 weeks. Plus, the Rams' pass defense is pretty stout. So it's between Zach Pascal, Kendrick Bourne, or Brian Edwards for me. I'm not going to go Brian Edwards because the Philadelphia Eagles are pretty solid against the wide receivers. And then so it's Zach Pascal and Kendrick Bourne. Give me Zach Pascal here with T.Y. Hilton out, with Paris Campbell out. Zach Pascal and Michael Pittman are going to be the only two guys catching the balls. I see him having a decent day, opportunity for a touchdown. So out of the four, give me Zach Pascal.
Oh, yeah, it just goes by. It's like process of elimination. I'm eliminating Raymond off rip. I just said it a second ago. I don't want any Lions players in this slaughterhouse. I'll take Swift. I won't even take Jamal Williams, and I'll barely take Hawkinson. Zach Pascal seems like the only guy left alive on that receiving core outside Michael Pittman. Kendrick Bourne, it's kind of a hit or miss with him, to be honest. That team doesn't pass the ball like crazy, but they're also stacked at their positions. They have the two tight ends. They have Nelson Aguilar. You have Jakobi Meyers. You have Damian Harris, Ramon Stevenson. So that's out of there. And then Brian Edwards, like you said, the Eagles might not be the best defensive team, but Darius Slay, if he's on Brian Edwards and Waller could be out, I don't know if that changes it. I just think that Zach Pascal, like you said, he's got the most target share, it seems like, out of these guys, and he's got the most upside. It is boomer bust. It's either he gets you, I feel like 5 points, or he gets you 15 to 20 and has just one of those days. And it also depends if Carson Wentz's ankles can go today. So
Brandon Kiernan, Chase Edmonds, Miles Sanders, or Myles Gaskin. I also have to drop one as a possible Waller replacement. If I'm dropping one, it's Gaskin. If I'm starting one, it's Miles Sanders. We're going to get into Miles Sanders a bit later on in the show. He is one of my starts of the week. So out of the three, although Chase Edmonds does have a positive matchup against the Houston Texans, give me Miles Sanders this week. And if you're looking for someone to drop out of the three, I'm probably dropping Gaskin.
Yeah, I mean, Gaskin, he had that one big game in Tampa, and ever since then, he's just been a shell of himself. Yep. I don't know if it's the offense or not, but I agree with you on that one. I mean, it's Miles Sanders, right? Not Emmanuel Sanders?
I'm guessing Miles Sanders.
Oh, yeah, because it's a bye week. So, yeah, you know what? I've been hating on Miles Sanders for a while. I'm going to try to jump on the hype train this week, maybe give him like a confidence boost. So I would go Miles Sanders, but I would drop Gaskin. You should have dropped him last week. Or if you could trade him for like something that you don't want to pick up, because I hate to drop players when I know I can trade him for like something better than the waiver wire pickup. But yeah, and also wait for that Waller replacement. Maybe he plays. If he doesn't, there's a Monday night game. I mean, see what your matchup goes into Monday night. If you want to pick up Everett or you want to pick up Juwan Johnson. Yeah. Troutman. Because, it's not like the craziest points you need, but see what you're going into tomorrow. And hey, Everett can get you a few points for the Geno Smith and that safety valve.
Thanks, Brandon. Holden Cantor, Darren Waller, or Zach Ertz. I mean, if Darren Waller's playing, it's Waller. Keep an eye on it. If he's not playing, obviously your other option here is Zach Ertz. So if Darren Waller plays, are you still starting him over Zach Ertz there's a chance that he might be on a snap count, he might be a decoy. Are you good with starting Ertz over Waller in that case, even though if Waller plays?
To be honest, I would never say this about Darren Waller unless it's like anything else. It's injury, and I don't know how serious it is. We got to wait till game time. I think in this case, he does get a few catches because it's Darren Waller. There's no way you don't give him the ball, even if it's like 3 or 4 catches. I'm going to throw a dart. I will say Zach Ertz has potential. I do see it being like a DeAndre Hopkins, maybe like a run kind of thing for Kyler and him. Ertz might get you 6 to 8 points. If Waller's injury is going to be game time, just go to Zach Ertz, go with the safety of having him. Because you don't want to start someone that says they're hurt and then is on a limited snap count or doesn't get catches and you're sitting with a big goose egg because those goose eggs hurt. So throw Zach Ertz in. He's still got all that spunk. I don't care what Philadelphia said about him. He was still Zach Ertz. He still looked good the last game he played. They just didn't have room and they wanted to go younger. They had no tight end besides Max Williams. And Max Williams was that guy in the Cardinals for a little bit before he got hurt. Plug in Zach Ertz. Don't look back. And if he doesn't do well for you, I'm sorry. It's tight ends the wasteland anyways. It's kind of hard to pick and choose. And it's the first time on a new team. So I don't know how well he knows the playbook yet to even be that effective and all those targets. So if Darren Waller's ready, put him in your lineup. I'm hoping he gets you points. If you don't feel confident enough, Zach Ertz is not a bad option for a secondary.
Good luck. Ryan Potts, is Mr. Bateman worth a start? Mr. Bateman is worth a start with Sammy Watkins out. He's going to be pole vaulted into that wide receiver 2 role for that team. So yeah, definitely worth a start for you in fantasy this week. He did see a decent amount of targets last week. I think he only had 4 catches. So start Rashad Bateman. If you have any other better options, which most likely you kind of don't, at least for this week, he is a good fill-in role for you moving forward.
Oh yeah, I like Bateman too. I try to get him in a few leagues before like the other headhunters got him, but I think this week if you have nothing better, start him. I think in 2 weeks he might be the clear-cut number 1 outside of Hollywood and outside of Mark Andrews, but it looks like I said last week, Sammy Watkins passed the rain. He got his injury and says, "Here you go, Bateman. Take it from me now."
It's yours now. Matthew Hall, thanks for tuning in, Matthew. Flex position, half PPR. AJ Dillon, Khalil Herbert, T. Higgins, or Hunter Henry. There's a few of these guys that are on our start sits for the week. If I'm picking one to flex, I don't like the fact that Damian Williams has been activated off the COVID list, so I don't know how much that's going to come into play for Khalil Herbert. AJ Dillon has seen some decent production the past 2 weeks, so he might be one of your decent starts. And T. Higgins is my bold sit of the week. I'm really going to dive into his week coming up later in this episode here. So if I got to pick one over the other, if I'm ranking them, I'm going Hunter Henry, AJ Dillon, T. Higgins, and then Khalil Herbert. And I'm only have Khalil Herbert last because of the activation of Damian Williams.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it sucks because Khalil Herbert looked like the guy, I'm not too confident in Damian Williams, but hey, I'm not Matt Nagy. I'm not going to have a job at the end of the season if I was him. So, you know what? Make his decisions, see where it goes. I personally, in a half point, would start T. Higgins. T. Higgins, bold start. Hunter Henry second. They look like they're using him a lot more than Jonnu Smith. He looks like the pass catcher. So I'd go T. Higgins, Hunter Henry, Khalil Herbert, AJ Dillon. And if you stay tuned for later in the show, I'll tell you why AJ Dillon's last on my list.
Like, thanks, Matthew. All right, I think that's it for questions in the early portion here we got going. So let's get into our start sits, man. We talked about it during the week. We broke down some of these players, and one of your big starts of the week versus the Arizona Cardinals is wide receiver Brandin Cooks from the Houston Texans. Stefan, let us know why we should be starting anyone from the Houston Texans, and then let us know why we should start Brandin Cooks.
So Brandin Cooks, I'm going to read off your last 5 games he had. 9, 5, 3, 9, 9. This man eats. This man gets at least 9 to 10 targets a game because there's no one else on that team. They have 17 running backs that don't know what they're doing. They have 3 tight ends that are non-existent. And their other receivers, I can't even name another one besides, I think it's, Nico Collins, and he's not even playing. besides what's his name from last year, or Chris Conley. Like
Chris
this guy's,
Moore.
yeah, he's the only guy on this team that's gonna even eat. If you have anyone else besides Brandin Cooks on your team, I would drop him. He is a machine. He has 100 yards in 2 games, 89 yards last game. He's averaging at least 18 points a game in PPR, and it's on one of the worst offenses because they're always going to be down. Houston, in most 85% of the games that they're going to be in, are going to be down. So they're going to be passing the ball, and Brandin Cooks has played with many quarterbacks, Davis Mills being the worst. But yet, yes, he's getting the most target share and the highest yardage he's going to get. Splash, you're making this hard, man. I like Pharaoh Brown. I don't see anyone else taking Cooks' spot. He's still young. He's still got it, and he's making it work on one of the worst teams in the NFL. Start Brandin Cooks. Start him every week because outside of his bye week, he's got a pretty soft schedule going forward against DBs. And like I said, when they're down, they're only looking for him. 14 targets week 2, 13 targets last week against Indianapolis, and he caught 9 of them. He had 2 down weeks. Everyone's going to have their bad weeks, but Cooks, start him. Receiver 1, receiver 2, I don't care. Get him in your lineup. But if he's playing later, flex the guy who plays later and start the guy who plays first. Always try to do that. That way you don't screw yourself up instead of like an injury happens or something like that.
Yeah, a little pro tip there from Stiffen. I'm gonna talk about a wide receiver from the Philadelphia Eagles. It's not Quez Watkins, it's not Jalen Reagor. This week I'm starting DEVONTA Smith. He's a top-end wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 capabilities versus a Raiders defense that is top 12 in NFL in points scored and average points scored versus the position. He's averaging 11.4 fantasy points per game, so he is productive. He has had some of those games where he fails to hit the double digits, but that's more on the game planning of the Philadelphia Eagles than it is on DEVONTA Smith. It's also on the quarterback as well. Jalen Hurts isn't the best passer in the NFL. He's great for fantasy purposes, don't get me wrong, because he does have the opportunity to run the ball. But DEVONTA Smith, man, at the position, he's top 10 in snap share percentage. He's top 15 in air yards. They're going to have to pass the ball to stay in the game. Start him as a low-end wide receiver 2 with high-end wide receiver 2 upside if he can see 7+ targets. I got a positive game script coming for him this week versus the Las Vegas Raiders. So my projection, 7 for 70 and a touchdown for DEVONTA Smith. Start him where you got him.
I like that.
Those are our 2 starts so far, Brandin Cooks and DEVONTA Smith. Let's get into a sit. You're sitting. You brought this guy up earlier in the show. Chicago Bears wide receiver Darnell Mooney caught a touchdown last week. Has been involved. I think he's Justin Fields' number 1 target in that wide receiver room. But you're sitting him this week. Why are you sitting Darnell Mooney?
So I'm in Tampa right now. The weather looks kind of cloudy. It says it's supposed to rain by game time. I don't know. I know they're the worst secondary. I personally think Allen Robinson might have the better game this week. I think that he's due for that game. Darnell Mooney had a good game last week. He was 5 of 8, 45 yards with a touchdown. He did get 15 points for you on fantasy points. But without that touchdown, he's not getting you anywhere near double digits. So, I mean, he is seeing 8 targets a game against the worst secondary. It is by Mageddon again. Like these are sits on personal ones that I believe won't be favorable just because of the matchup. I think, like I said, Allen Robinson, Justin Fields are going to have a connection. They're going to be running the ball more. It's wet. It's going to be one of those games where it's not going to be like a pretty pass here, pass there. Darnell Mooney is good. He's really the only target outside of them. He's been producing better, outproducing Allen Robinson. I just don't know if he's going to be able to keep it up this week. That Chicago Bears team looks good, then they look bad. Then they look good, then they look bad. Darnell Mooney, I have projected, I'll say 5 catches, 40 to 50 yards tops. I don't see a touchdown coming this week. I just think that Tampa defense is going to be keying in on more of him, a little maybe less on A-Rod because of what A-Rod's been doing. He's been a disappointment. So maybe they put a little bit more on Mooney, a little bit less on A-Rod, but this will be the week I want to sit him. I know there's a lot of bye weeks. If you have to start him, start him. I hope he gets you 10 points. I know, Frank, he was almost my sleeper sit of the week. But I just think, I don't know. I don't see it being too much of a pass day in Tampa. I think it's going to be more of like a running kind of a style script. If they're down, they'll start chucking it. He might get some garbage time stuff, but in the real game script, I don't see him getting over 15, 20 points.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, both these guys, for us, our first sits here can be considered bolder sits compared to what everyone else is doing. But one of my bolder sits this week is Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr. He's been a steady fantasy producer this season. But versus the Eagle, QBs are only averaging low-end quarterback 2 numbers. They're top 10 in passing yards against. Over the last 2 weeks, quarterbacks have averaged 12.3 points per game for fantasy owners. He could have a decent day yardage-wise. I have him going for 230, but only 1 touchdown and 1 interception on the week, putting him around 15 to 16 fantasy points, ultimately making him a sit because he's going to fall out of that range. I mean, if you're in a super flex or 2 QB league, he's obviously going to be a start for you because he has the potential to finish as a top 10 QB on the week. But in 1 QB leagues, I'm okay starting Tua, I'm okay starting Winston, and I'm okay starting Matt Ryan over him this week, as I believe all 3 guys will have better weeks than Derek Carr does versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, we're getting deep with these sleep.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's how we do, brother. That's how we do, man. All right, we're gonna bring in a guest. He's from the 32 and 32 Fantasy Football Podcast, in which he does with his wife, Jen, a member of the Fantasy Thieves Collective, a community staple, and all-around good guy, Nate Polvold. Nate, thanks for joining the show. How's it going? I'm Chris. That's Bearshbaum, Stefan. How you doing this week, man?
Guys, I'm great. Buy Mageddon, be damned. And we just lost out. One of our co-hosts lives for the DFS show I do this morning, lives in Northern California, and they're getting wicked storms, and he lost his Wi-Fi. So we're down a host for that show today too.
Someone find him a hotspot, please.
Right. No kidding. He's the sage. I'm just the host. So it's going to be a fun morning, but looking forward to this week as always. It's football, man. Can't complain. Even when it's tough.
That's it, man. And like you said, with week 7 being known as the Bipocalypse, Mageddon, total violation, the buy summation, a buy to tot, and as Jen called it, the buy NATO.
Yes.
Who are some of your dart throw desperation plays that you have in your lineups right now?
Well, I have one league so bad I have to start Denzel Mims. Literally, and it's a deeper dynasty league. So like go out on the waiver wire, there's nothing there. I mean, nothing. But I don't recommend doing that unless you are literally have no other choice. He's projected like 0.6 points. I'll be shocked if he even gets that. But at least it's a warm body in the slot. But realistic dart throws, guys, I like this week. Tyler Johnson in Tampa Bay.
Yep.
And I like it because they run out 11 personnel. I think it's like 76% of the time. They're not going to stop doing that. Gronk is still out. They're not going to roll out with OJ Howard and Cameron Brate in the tight end slots. They're going to keep up with those 3 wide receiver sets. Tom Brady knows Tyler Johnson. He used Tyler Johnson last season before Antonio Brown kind of hit the scene. I see no reason why he shouldn't have like a 460, 570 game this week with Antonio Brown out. It just makes and he's free, guys. He's still out in your he's still out on waivers in your league right now, unless you listened to me yesterday morning talk about this. I like him. I like Ramondre Stevenson this week because we're all hurting at running back. He has got some sneaky touchdown upside in that offense now that he's out of the doghouse for that week 1 fumble. He's a guy I really like this week as well.
Yep, right on. I like it. I like Ramondre this week, especially with the mix-up of everything that's going on in that New England backfield. Damian Harris has been hurting the past couple weeks. James White's out. You also got Brandon Bolden in there, and then you got Ramondre, who looked great in preseason. He looked awesome in preseason, but then he took kind of a back seat when the season started, and now he's going to have an opportunity. So I like that one. I like that Ramondre start. I like that one.
Well, and I think too, he's got some receiving upside in your PPR leagues. We saw it last week. So, if he gets 2 to 3 catches, 15, 20 yards, gets some yards on the ground, based on what we're having to try and start, like, this is not a bad option.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. Now, a guy who was labeled as QB proof, he's been anything but that this season. We know the talent is there, but he just hasn't put it together for us. I don't know if it's the offense or the QB or everything else going on in Chicago, but what are we making out of Allen Robinson this season? Is he a guy that we're just ready to unload? Is he a hold? Is he a buy low? How do you see it unfolding the rest of the way?
Right now, he's a hold. I want to see as Fields progresses in this offense if Robinson maybe gets more involved. And I think that who are you going to drop him for? Like, at this point, you might as well hold on to him.
Just hold him.
My biggest concern is Matt Nagy and what he's doing with that offense. I think it was Justin Fields' first start. He had 21 to 30 dropbacks. They only had 5 blockers. They were just letting him get destroyed. Like, oh, we only need 5 blockers. He can do it with his feet. Narrator, he cannot do it with his feet. So if Nagy can adjust this offense and get Fields more comfortable with it, seems like he's kind of starting to do. I'm okay with Allen Robinson as somebody who's going to rebound and be a nice play towards like fantasy playoffs.
Yeah. So he's a hold kind of buy low guy that we're looking to acquire. Right on. Okay, one of the questions we asked our guest Luke last week, one of the hotter topics pre-draft with names like McCaffrey, Saquon, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and David Montgomery either out or having missed some time. Does that make a real valid case for the 0 RB strategy moving forward?
Oh, man. So I did a couple 0 RB drafts this offseason, startups, just to see how it went. The first 5 weeks of the season is like, I will never do that again. This is painful and these teams are terrible. And now I'm like, well, maybe this wasn't such a bad idea. This is a weird year though. And we have to admit, practice has been weird. Off-season workouts, OTAs were weird. Camp was weird. And then also there's guys like Christian McCaffrey where, dude, they just ran him into the ground over 3 seasons. Yeah, of course he's starting to get hurt. I mean, his usage was insane, and he's a little dude. I'm in Denver, and he's from Denver. He did a high school here. Great. Obviously his dad is a coach here. And they beat him up in high school. Constant usage. So I feel like we're at a point with McCaffrey where his body's starting to break down, and this isn't going to stop.
Yeah.
This isn't going to stop. He's going to continue to get hurt. That doesn't make him completely useless in fantasy, but we have to be realistic at this point. It's what we're actually going to get out of McCaffrey. And I think that is and Saquon Barkley, I don't know what's going on with that. It's a bummer. I hate it. I'm about to start moving him in leagues because I can't. I've gotten 3 games out of him in 2 seasons. That's not the value we're looking for. So to your main point, I think there's some validity now seeing what happened this season with 0 RB drafting. I mean, we're all using guys off of waivers at this point anyway.
Patterson.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, Khalil Herbert, I'm rolling out this week.
Darrell Williams,
who I would argue is a better running back than CEH. Anyway,
100%.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. You good to answer some questions? We have some that have amassed. Let's get to it. Let's get some questions here. Kahuna Gizmo, if my starting RBs are Mixon and Hubbard, should I flex Darrell Williams over Tyler Lockett or Pittman Jr.?
Ooh. I don't hate that. I don't love the matchup for Tyler Lockett this week, which is exactly why he's probably going to go off. But that said, I think Darrell Williams is a safer play over both this week.
Yep, I like it too.
Yeah.
K. Meyer, AJ Brown or Jalen Waddle? I mean, AJ Brown's been a disappointment, but that's a heavy question to be able to sit AJ Brown for Waddle. What's your take on that one?
That's tough, but I'd probably do it. I like what Waddle's done the last couple of weeks, and they're playing a weak Falcons defense, and they're going to need him to continue, because Devontae Parker may not play today. I haven't seen
Exactly.
anything this morning as to if he is or isn't, but sounding like he was trending towards no.
Yeah,
That means
Waddle's
Waddle's that makes Waddle the wide receiver 1 in that offense. It's not going to be it's not going to be any of the other guys they've got, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I'd take Waddle over Brown and feel decent about it.
You're gonna make a lot of people mad, but I love that take. Actually, it's
well. And don't forget too, AJ Brown had food poisoning and lost 8 pounds in like 2 days. So there may be some like concerns about actual strength going into the game, and he's been disappointing. So yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson actually is inactive today. I just got that, and so
is he inactive?
Shut up. No.
Ramondre Stevenson is as inactive, and so is Sterling Shepard. I just got the notification.
Sterling Shepard inactive as well.
Well, guys. Cheers to this week. Just killed like 3 of my teams.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah. The bison just keeps rolling.
And like to your point, it's this season has just been so abysmal with injuries, and it's so tough to just know what you're doing, you know. And the next year is gonna be a year like last year where everyone's healthy, everyone's good to go, and then this is a year we have to just plague through these injuries. It's sad, and honestly, but it honestly shows who the real fantasy players are when they're making these moves for these backups, these no names, and they're just starting them every week, and they're like, "What is this guy doing? Who does he know?"
We study the game, people.
Yeah, that's
for
it.
you.
All right, Dirty Money asks Marquise Brown or Terry McLaurin this week.
I'm gonna go Scary Terry. Yeah. I just feel like with Bateman back. Wait, not even just back. Bateman finally seeing the field this season. I think that kind of cuts into what Hollywood can do. And I think that Bateman's the man there and will be going forward. So, yeah, Scary Terry this week.
Yeah, Scary is the man in Washington, that's for sure.
Yep. As long as he's healthy.
Yeah. Crown Trend, Michael Carter, Henry Ruggs with no Waller, and Slayton full PPR. We just heard that Shepard is out. So Slayton's going to get a bit of a bump there. Galladay's still out. Kadarius Toney's out. So I think it's pretty much Slayton. And I don't know if they brought up David Sills or not, but
I know John Ross is there.
Yeah, John Ross, but he was also struggling during the week. Is Waller been labeled as out, or is it still up in the air?
I haven't seen it if he is or not. If he is, I thought it was bad with Ramondre Stevenson.
There goes Devontae Parker. He's officially
Devontae
inactive.
Parker inactive as well.
I have zero exposure to Parker, so I don't care about that.
Good there, no shares. So is there one guy that you like over the other here?
Probably Henry Ruggs.
Yeah,
because of the matchup. I like Michael Carter, just not this week. But yeah, I think Ruggs would be the guy to go with in this.
Do you think with Tevin Coleman being out, does that give Michael Carter kind of a bump as well?
No, because there's still Ty Johnson, and Ty Johnson's still going to cut into his work.
Yeah, definitely. Bars in the tuck. Good morning and happy football. Happy football. Full PPR. Pick a tight end. Ricky Seals-Jones or new toy Zach Ertz.
Well, if I'm chasing upside here, chasing that higher ceiling, I'm going to go Ertz, which is what I am doing this week and every week.
Chase the upside.
Yeah, I'm chasing that upside with Ertz because I think there's a potential. I think he has potential red zone usage in this offense, and I like that. I like to see that.
Yeah, Max Williams was used quite a bit, actually. Did catch some good balls there for that offense. So, and Ricky Seals-Jones isn't a bad start either if you got him, but if we're picking between the two, definitely going Zach Ertz in Arizona.
Yeah.
Tim Graychick, start 1 RB and 1 flex full PPR. Miles Sanders, Joe Mixon, Darrell Williams, or D-Hop. Sounds like you got some good problems there with those guys. For the 1 RB between Miles Sanders, Joe Mixon, and Darrell Williams, which one are you plugging in your lineup?
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon, yep.
Things I never thought I'd say, but yes, Joe Mixon.
It's the year to say the things you never thought.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, and then with that flex, I'm definitely going D-Hop.
Yeah, going
you
D-Hop
can't put him on the bench.
Especially versus Houston. Yeah, you're not benching him there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mixon and D-Hop.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Let's have a little bit of fun here. Let's give away some mid-season fantasy football awards. We can call them the Uis. just for name's sake. But let's get going. Best supporting wide receiver. So the best wide receiver too halfway through the season. Who do you got?
Oh, this is going to sound weird, but it's partially because I'm a Broncos fan, but Tim Patrick. He's been solid. He's been solid as a wide receiver too there. I mean, he hasn't been flashy, but I mean, he's done enough to with this insane season. Like, he's a serviceable wide receiver too. I mean,
yeah, I like it. You got one, Stefan?
To be honest, I was gonna say, I know it's weird. Cooper Kupp. I know he wasn't drafted as like big guy, but I think for a guy who's been over excelled on his position this year, I think Cooper Kupp is that guy. We knew he was going to be good, but this good, like this guy, if we were to redraft him again, he would be a top first round pick in 12-man drafts.
Oh,
so I gotta give him this over any other receiver or Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. I gotta put Cooper Kupp as one of my guys. I'm just like, wow, like you wowed me, and I'm mad I didn't take you because I saw you sitting there in the 3rd or 4th round, and I was like, nah.
But we were all taking Bobby Trees.
Yeah, exactly. Hoping
and then they cut that tree down, and then came Kupp.
Unfortunately, Cooper Kupp is the guy that has breakfast with Stafford.
Right.
Robert Woods has brunch with someone else. While
Yeah, exactly.
Breakfast.
Okay, next award here, Mr. Invisible, the hype train player preseason that has been MIA through the first 6 weeks.
Oh, this is easy for me. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
I've never been. I thought, like I said, like I think he's the second best running back on that team anyway. But we say he doesn't get red zone work. Like they try with him and he can't punch it in, so they don't use him. So what's the point? That's all they need a running back for in that offense, because otherwise Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, like even Mecole Hardman is kind of coming on the scene now. He's a guy who people are, I mean, there's probably going to be more hype next year. Like, this is his year. It's not going to be his year, guys. It's never going to be his year. He's been a ghost. And for where he was being drafted, you've got absolutely nothing from him.
Yep. Now he's out missing time. And then with the emergence of Darrell Williams, who knows what his role is going to be once he gets back. Okay, next award, the Fabtastic Award, the midseason waiver ad of the year so far is...
Dearness Johnson, man.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. He went off on Thursday. He was a great ad. You probably got him for cheap.
Yes.
So the value was there. And who knows when Chubb's going to come back. They didn't put him on IR. They're hoping that he plays next week. But even if he does, their Ernest still might get some valuable playing time.
Well, Kareem Hunt's going to be out, and he's been a valuable part of that offense. And they're gonna need Dearness Johnson. And plus, dude, I mean, he looked really good. So there's a chance that he get, regardless of having Hunt and Chubb back, and they're both obviously RB1 type guys, but you can't ignore the talent.
Yep.
Not that he's going to necessarily be enormously fantasy relevant, but we've seen Chubb continue to get hurt in previous seasons, and it's a concern.
Yeah, so some of those cuts he was making too on Thursday.
Yes.
I was just like, who is this guy?
I mean, it was
Denver's
painful.
Not a pushover.
Our defense has not been phenomenal this year. It turns out we were a little overrated on the defensive side of the ball. So who knew?
Yeah, who knew? All right, next award, Fantasy Football Comeback Player of the Year halfway through the season is
Dak Prescott.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, for me, it was Prescott or Burrow, but Prescott definitely has the edge over him so far through 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's Dak Prescott for me.
Yeah, I like it. Biggest surprise on the year?
Oh, man, there's so many. Jonathan Taylor, actually, when he's being used, he's blowing up. And that's always been the issue for me is usage. And now we're seeing more of the usage. Last season, he had a hard time punching it in at the goal line. That seems to be kind of a thing of the past this season. He's figured that part out. So I've been pleasantly surprised with what I've seen out of Jonathan Taylor this year.
I like it. And then halfway through the season, fantasy football's MVP. I mean, is there Derrick Henry?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's Derrick Henry.
I mean, he's RB1 by a bunch of points. So
yes.
Like, the guy next to my second place, I think, is 40 points behind or something like that. So
now Derrick Henry's a league-winning running back yet again this season when everyone said there was going to be regression, and there has not been. because the dude is just a beast.
And they're not running him into the ground like McCaffrey is.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a bigger frame too. I mean, he's a much bigger dude than McCaffrey is, so it'd be harder to there was something going around Twitter the other day. It was like, would you rather tackle Derrick Henry or something else? It's like,
or get
dude,
tackled by Aaron Donald.
Yeah, dude, both of those sound terrible, but at least with Aaron Donald, I can cover myself up a little bit. Like trying to tackle Derrick Henry, how do you even do that?
Did you see Micah Hyde last week against the Bills when he ripped off that big 77-yard run and Micah Hyde tries to like catch him and he just lowers his shoulder and just plows right through him like he wasn't even there.
Yeah, Derrick Henry is a freight train. No, thank you.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so with all that, in 0.5 PPR formats, Mahomes is QB1, Henry is RB1, Cooper Kupp is wide receiver 1, and again, Travis Kelce is tight end 1. Is there any of these guys that could lose that top spot by the end of the season? And if yes, who do you see him being replaced by?
I don't think so, actually. Which is odd, but I don't think so. I think that that's a pretty cut dry list. Those guys are going to remain at the top all season.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I mean, the separation in points between the RB, wide receiver, and tight end it's great. The quarterback separation is a little tight between, I think, Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. So those three can definitely flip-flop throughout the year, but Mahomes definitely has the upside to finish as the QB1 at the end of it.
I mean, maybe Lamar Jackson supplants Mahomes, maybe, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Mahomes is going to keep being Mahomes.
Yeah, and if they're down a lot of games, if they're down in these games, that poor defense, he's going to be getting you 35 points a game just because of it.
Yes.
Yeah, we agree. We agree there. Okay, before we let you go, before we close it out, we like to be bold on here. We like to separate ourselves from the consensus, start sits, and whatnot. Here at the uSTADIUM, we'll be featuring a new feature on the app, the takes feature, where you're going to be able to use the points that you've earn through the app and buy into someone else's takes and make money on your own sports takes. With that, one of my hottest takes is Tom Brady finishes 5,500 yards, 55 TDs. What is one of your hottest takes of the NFL season or the fantasy football season this year?
Well, so I'll go back to one that started before the draft. Mac Jones will finish as the QB1 amongst rookie quarterbacks this season.
All right.
And
I like it.
Yeah, people have laughed at me, and now they're not laughing so much.
They're not laughing anymore, man.
I've been there, man. I've been there on our show we had before. I was hyping him up. I was like, start Mac Jones. I even said a bunch of clips. I'm like, this guy's going to be the reason that you guys win. I know they're not winning, but if I had points to bet, I would put my entire bankroll on that guy being the number one quarterback in the rookie class.
Yep. Yeah.
I like it. Stefan, you got one for us?
One I want kind of killed me. It was the whole Nick Chubb. So I talked to Javier, one of our guys at the uSTADIUM, and I was like, no, Nick Chubb will be the number one running back. He'll be this and that. And now it's looking worse and worse for me. Dearness Johnson came on the scene. Kareem Hunt's out. I'm still going to go Nick Chubb finishes at top 5 RB at the end of the season. I'm going to stay firm on that one. I know he has the 2-week injury. I'm glad they didn't put him on IR because that would suck, because he's a great running back. But I'm still going to stick my feet to the ground. Nick Chubb will end up a top 5 running back in PPR and half point just because of his volume, the workload, Kareem Hunt out. I do like Dearness Johnson, but I just don't think that takes away from Nick Chubb's 5-yard carry average. So I think Nick Chubb will finish as a top 5 running back in PPR over the likes of, like, say, CMC, of course. Even if CMC comes back, no. I think Chubb, Henry. I'm also going to say, Darrell Henderson will be up there as well. That was another hot take, but give me Nick Chubb top 5.
Darrell Henderson has looked good, man.
Yeah,
he's looked real good.
Yeah. Another one of those value finds that you're going to have. You got time for a couple more questions before we let you go?
I got to actually, because I'm missing the host, and I started 12 minutes on the DFL show. Otherwise, yes, and I'd love to do this again, guys. This is a blast.
Of course.
Yes. Let them know where they can find you. Let them know what you got going on before you take off here.
All right.
And thanks for joining the show, Nate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I am at Janate Jack FF on Twitter. You can find my work with at IBT_media, at 32 and 32 FF, at FF_collective. That's collective with a K and no E, at the lateral.
I like it.
Part of the FF Thieves. I'm all over the place. I'm just trying to get seen here, and I love talking football. So, yeah, those are all the places you can find me. I have columns come out all week. I've got shows all week at Coming Off OFF, The Edge. Coming Off the Edge. It's a Tuesday show that's just friends and BSing. So, yeah, check us out, man. We're all over. I'm all over the place. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And again, thanks for having me, guys. This was a blast.
Thanks for joining,
Nate. Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
All right.
See you, Nate. That was awesome. Thanks, Nate, again for joining. A lot of good stuff there with him. Entertaining guy. But we have some questions ready to go. Stefan, let's answer some of these. Tim Graychick, start 1RB. And we answered this one, I think, already with Nate. We went with Joe Mixon and D-Hop, right?
Yep, Joe Mixon, D-Hop all the way.
All right, Matthew Hall. Hey, guys, I wanted to know y'all thoughts on Damian Harris and DK Mercado. I think that's DK Metcalf this week. Metcalf versus the Saints isn't a great matchup, but he is the target for Geno Smith. We've seen it last week. So I don't hate the DK start just based on volume. And Damian Harris with Ramondre out, with James White out, with Brandon Bolden being a kind of just relief guy. I like Damian Harris this week versus the New York Jets, and I like DK Mercado Metcalf versus
I'm going to start saying
Saints.
that.
I like it. I like it. Mike B, JD McKissick or Waddle for the flex. Give me Jalen Waddle, although JD McKissick should have a decent day performing. We talked about it with Nate. Devontae Parker's out. I think Preston Williams is still out. So give us Jalen Waddle there versus the Falcons defense.
And Gibson is active, but we don't know what's going to happen because this is
he was active last week, but he didn't have too much of a role. So, like we said, like JD McKissick could have a decent floor, or he will have a decent floor. But as far as boom goes and boom factor, give me Jalen Waddle there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Ertz, Goddard, or Seals Jones. Man, some good options there. I like Nate's take on Zach Ertz, but I'm kind of on the Ricky Seals-Jones train. He's a big target for them. He does see a lot of volume. So give me Ricky Seals-Jones over Ertz and Goddard.
I'm going to go Goddard, only because it just seems now that Ertz is gone, they wanted to feed him. They're going to feed him. I think he's going to have a day when it comes to the tight end position because I just don't see anyone else outside of your boy Devonta Smith doing anything really. And Goddard looked good even when Ertz was there, but he just cut into so much of his time. So I'm easily going to go with Goddard, Seals, and then Ertz. Also, Mike, you did hit me up on Twitter. I would like to know what your score was to that last week that you asked me for the Herbert and the it was Herbert and someone else I told you to start. Let me know how that happened, how that went down, because he did hit me up on Twitter. And if you have any more questions, hopefully I can redeem myself or keep on the positive train with you. So
I like it. Stafford or Matt Ryan? Give me Stafford here versus the Lions. He's going to put out an absolute banger of a game.
He's going to come for blood.
Matt Ryan should have a decent game as well, but Stafford's that dude, man, and Stafford's that dude versus the Lions as well. He's gonna want to show up and show out. So give me Stafford over Matt Ryan this week. T. Higgins or Bateman? I forgot to ask earlier. All good, Matthew. Thanks for the question. I like Rashad Bateman in this spot over T. Higgins this week. It's a little bit of a bold take, but for me, T. Higgins is a bold sit this week. So give me Bateman there.
That hurt. I know. I like the Bateman too. I have to start Higgins in one of my leagues, so I like to leave him out there. But I think Bateman is seeing more targets already. I mean, I was scared his last game that he played, but they looked like they got him ready to go early enough. So start Bateman. He's going to be I personally think he's going to be one of those league-winning receivers that you picked up on IR, stashed him, waited, and he's going to be a guy who you will start going into the playoffs, and he could be the number one guy over Hollywood Brown easily. There's no really true take on who's the number one guy in that offense, and he's got better upside, I think, right now than T. Higgins because Jamar Chase is stealing the spotlight there.
I like it. Predict this week's QB1, RB1, wide receiver 1, and tight end 1 on the week. For me, QB1 is going to be Matt Stafford. I just have a feeling that he's just going to put out this week against the Lions. The opportunity for him is going to be there. He has the connection with his wide receivers, and he's going to go absolutely nuts versus the Lions. RB1, I got Alvin Kamara versus the Seattle Seahawks. With the receiving chops and the rushing ability that he has, Alvin Kamara could absolutely finish as fantasy's RB1. I mean, it's going to be hard to dethrone a guy like Derrick Henry and the usage that he's got, but give me an AK for RB1. Wide receiver 1, this one gets a bit tighter. There's a lot of good games, but give me Cooper Kupp there, matched up with Matt Stafford. Give me Cooper Kupp as the wide receiver 1. Is that how you got?
I literally was running Stafford and Cooper Kupp.
And then tight end 1, I mean, it's hard not to pick Travis Kelce week in and week out to be that tight end 1. So I'm taking Travis Kelce there. So Stafford, Kamara, Kupp, and Kelce.
I'm going Stafford, Henry, Kupp, Andrews.
Andrews, okay. I like it. Thanks, Ryan. Super chats are bad, baby. Bateman is overrated. He might be overrated. I mean, he was a stud in college, but I think it's more of an opportunity share that he's going to have in that wide receiver role for the Ravens. That's ultimately going to put out the production for fantasy users. So Bateman overrated him, and I don't know, man.
This Frankie guy likes to stir the pot.
Yeah. Shed Sports, Zach Ertz or Devonta Smith, half PPR. Give me Devonta Smith over Zach Ertz, half PPR there.
All day.
Yep. Movie Fan 101, Kirk or Gaskin, please help. I mean, I'm starting Christian Kirk over Myles Gaskin this week. We had Myles Gaskin as a guy that we could drop. We talked about him on Tuesday. The production, other than that one outlier game, the production hasn't been there. Kirk has more opportunity to go off. He's involved in that passing game. He is the wide receiver 3 behind, and he fights with AJ Green as the wide receiver 2 on that team, but he is the wide receiver 3 on the Cardinals, who we're expecting to have a big day versus the Houston Texans. So give me Kirk with the upside and bench Gaskin there.
Yeah, we're not a Gaskin kind of family over here.
We're not a Gaskin show. Like Joshua Loyola, rest of season, Jonathan Taylor or James Robinson. Both have been producing. James Robinson kind of started slow the first 2 weeks, but he's really come on the rest of the season. But give me the talented Jonathan Taylor here when they give him the ball, which I hope they're going to do more of rest of the season. He's been electric. He's been dynamic. So give me Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, I had them both last year on my team. They were both studs. They were amazing. But I do like Taylor better. I think just James Robinson and that Urban Meyer offense doesn't know what they're doing still. So they're going to try to grind that little season out, as I think Taylor is going to sit there and just explode. He's an RB1 the rest of the season. Unanimous decision for me.
Yep. Mike B. So Bateman or Waddle then for the flex? I'm gonna pick Jalen Waddle here over Rashad Bateman for the flex. He's the wide receiver 1 on that Miami team. He is playing the porous Atlanta Falcons defense. Bateman should have a good day, but if you're asking for a flex and you can put Waddle in the flex, put Waddle in the flex there over Rashad Bateman.
100%. And also, I saw that he won by 0.2 last week.
Ooh, nice.
I lost by 0.1, so I was on the opposite spectrum, and I'm glad you won that because I felt bad if you were going to lose. I would have been like,
101.7 and 101.9. Take him where you can get him, right? Inch or a mile, a win's a win.
Oh, my God.
Aaron Rivera, Standard League, Robert Woods or Jamar Chase. I like Jamar Chase here. Robert Woods in Standard League. I think He takes a bit of a backseat to Jamar Chase in the standard league because Chase has the potential to put up more yards than Robert Woods does. Woods could see a 5-catch, 6-catch, 50 to 60-yard day, where Jamar Chase could see a 4-catch, 80-yard day. He is the guy that stretches the field in that offense. So give me Jamar Chase there.
Yeah, and it seems like Jamar Chase has breakfast with Joe Burrow, unlike Robert Woods and Matt Stafford. So I'm gonna hop on your train with you. I'm trying to be different, but it's just so hard to go against Jamar Chase and what he's done so far.
That's true, man. Also, same league, start to Henderson, Mixon, and Aaron Jones. Man, I have a feeling Henderson's going to have one of those days, so it's going to be hard to sit him. I mean, you got 3 great options here, Aaron. But do you got to take who you like over the other?
I don't know why people are hating on Aaron Jones lately. I've been on Twitter last week, and they were like, "It's just Aaron Jones' breakout game." I'm like, what are you guys smoking, drinking, or what are you guys doing? I'm starting Aaron Jones all day, baby, every game of the week.
Yeah.
I don't care about AJ Dillon. I'm going Aaron Jones. I love Mixon, but Henderson has got a cake of a matchup. And I said this last week against the Bengals. Oh, start T. Higgins, start Jamar Chase. They didn't do much for me. Start Henderson. It seems the running backs have field days against the Detroit Lions. And start Aaron Jones. Don't be that guy that benches Aaron Jones because of what other people are saying. He's a stud RB2 all season long.
Yep, I like it. You got some great options there, Aaron. Good luck, buddy.
Can I join some of these leagues you guys are in?
For real. All right, we don't got much time left, but we do have a bunch of start sits. We can just name some of them off, the honorable mentions. But let's get into one guy. We'll get into a couple more here. One guy that you were really high on, one of your big waiver ads, one of your big hype guys this season is wide receiver running back CORDARELLE Patterson. Why are we firing him up this week?
You see the smile every time you talk about him. This man is a machine. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. He gets numbers. He gets production. Mike Davis is sucking. Mike Davis is getting lower on the totem pole. Start CORDARELLE Patterson. Stop with this. It's weird. It's by Mageddon. It's a weird season. Injuries hurt, and CORDARELLE Patterson will save your life.
Yeah, I like it. One of my big starts of the week, Miles Sanders. He's averaging only 9.9 fantasy points per game this season, and he's been the definition of disappointment. It's been a rocky start, to say the least. But when the fans cheer, when you do a simple run to the left, you got to take that into consideration. And Sirianni even said he's got to get the running game outside of Jalen Hurts going. So I'm projecting a breakout day this year for Miles Sanders, who's dominating the playing time over Kenny Gainwell. The Raiders have allowed the RB to score in 5 of the 6 games that they've played. So let's hope Sanders can finally find that end zone. He's averaging 4.7 yards per carry. He's 11th at the position in receptions. Let's go. Miles Sanders, week 7 projections. 120 all-purpose yards and a TD, a big day for Booby. If you want to win, put Booby in. Miles Sanders is a start. A big sit for you this week, Steph, is you've had a couple good ones. You've really done your research week in and week out, and you've hit quite good on some of these guys. And one of your sits this week is AJ Dillon, man. He's seen an increase in playing time. His role's gotten larger over the past 2 weeks, especially. But you're not seeing it. You're not starting him this week. You're popping him on the bench. And why is that?
Aaron Jones, RB1. I don't care what you say.
That's it.
43 points, 19 points, 22, 17, 12. That's Aaron Jones. You got 15, 8, 11 carries for AJ Dillon, 12, 18, 7 points. Stop with this nonsense. Until Aaron Jones gets hurt, until he's out of the team, until his legs are broken, do not start AJ Dillon over Aaron Jones. It's just game script. Aaron Jones will have a monster game. Quote me on that one today.
Yeah, clip that one for the guy. Let's get that up there. Aaron Jones, monster day. I like it. One of my sits, a guy that you've been high on for the past couple weeks, JAKOBI Meyers versus the New York Jets. He still has yet to find the end zone. We've been counting it down every week. And although I do not expect JAKOBI Meyers to have a good day, I don't see him catching the touchdown. The New York Jets are second best in shutting down down fantasy wide receivers. They've allowed the least amount of receiving yards to the position this year. They are first in that category. His worst outing was week 2 versus the New York Jets, where he saw 6 targets, 4 receptions, 38 yards. So the production wasn't there in week 2. I don't see it coming this week either. My week 7 projections for JAKOBI Meyers, 4 receptions and 40 yards. One of my starts for the weeks was Sterling Shepard's, but unfortunately he's out. So don't start Sterling Shepard. But we are both sitting Mike Davis. We just don't see Mike Davis producing anything in the running game for the Atlanta Falcons. He does see quite a bit of red zone work, but that's where his production comes from. Other than that, Mike Davis is a sit. Do you agree with that? Obviously, that was both of our sit there. We both agreed that we would be sitting Mike Davis this week.
It's the easiest sit of my life.
Yeah, you're a big Cordero guy, so I know that we're both comfortable.
If Cordarelle Patterson can do me a solid and get me to the playoffs or get me into like something, I will go out and buy a Cordarelle Patterson Atlanta Falcons jersey just solely off what he's doing for me right now. If he can hold off this thing.
I like it. Projection for Davis, for me, 11 carries, 50 yards, and a possible pity touchdown. But other than that, I just don't see it happening.
I like it.
One of your starts, a guy that we talked about on Tuesday that we weren't too high on, Josh Jacobs, you're firing him up. I agree with the Jacobs start because he is the touchdown guy in that backfield. So, but you're firing up with confidence this week.
Yeah, I think he's passing that injury he had. I have him going over 20 carries, over 60, 70 yards. I think 70 yards over. And I do think he gets a touchdown. I do think that offense will have to go through him more with Darren Waller out. So I think it's a Josh Jacobs kind of a game. I think he sees pretty good workload, and I don't usually like to start Josh Jacobs. I am kind of a hater on him. I hate to admit it, but this is the week to start Josh Jacobs.
All right, let's get into some of our bolder stuff before we close out the show. Let's be quick with these ones. Your sleeper start of the week is wide receiver Henry Ruggs III from Las Vegas. He's been able to stretch the field recently. He's catching some big air balls. But you're good with popping him in, eh?
Yeah, even with Waller being out, this was before the Waller injury. I saw he was during it. I didn't know if he was going to be out. I thought maybe, when he comes to this week, he's going to be out. Makes it even better for me now. So I'm firing up Henry Ruggs. I think he gets one of those long 40-yard touchdown bombs, like the Tyreek Hill kind of one. Start him at your flex, start him at your receiver 2. It's buy him again. You have really no options. Start him, and the Raiders are gonna win.
I like it. My sleeper start, running back Michael Carter. Nothing from the Jets has been good in terms of fantasy purposes. Davis has been up and down. Wilson hasn't been startable. In terms of the running back position, none of them have been startable up until the past couple weeks. He had his best production day versus the Patriots in week 2, where he had 13 touches for 88 yards. He didn't get a touchdown that game, but he has got a touchdown his past 2 games. He's the clear running back 1 for the Jets. Let's get a breakout performance for the UNC product. Sleeper start stuff. Projected a big day for Ricky Seals-Jones last week with the 2 TDs. He caught the 1 TD. Let's do it again this week for Michael Carter. 15 carries, 70 yards, 1 rushing TD, 4 catches, 40 yards, 110 all-purpose, and a TD. Good enough for 19 fantasy points. LFG, let's freaking go, man. Let's freaking go.
Oh,
Mike
man.
Carter all day. Oh,
I love it. That's damn. You could, man. Let me go at him. You convinced me to sit there.
And then before we go, we're gonna wrap it up here. Bold sits for me. It's T. Higgins. For you, it's Antonio Gibson. Why are you sitting at Gibbs this week?
It's Gibson is because of that injury. It's not healed and he's still playing. I think this is a maneuver to fool the team they're playing, to sit there go, oh, Gibson's playing. No, it's JD McKissick's season. Antonio Gibson is going to be out there, but he's going to be nothing but a diversion. He's going to be nothing but a guy who you want to look for who's not going to get anything. If you start him, you have to start him. God bless your seasons. I hope he does you well. but I just don't want to start. I don't want any part of that nonsense, any part of that mumbo jumbo. Get him away from me. I didn't draft him. I just don't like that injury. And J.D. McKissic will be the guy to vulture the day.
I like it. Bold sit for me. Are you sitting Damian Harris as well as another one of your bolder sits?
Yeah.
Are you sitting Damian Harris even though Ramondre's out and all those things going on there versus the Jets?
You know what? I don't like to retract back my statements. I'm gonna put my feet on the ground for this one too. That defensive line for the Jets is not a pushover. That's one of the bright sides of that defense. The Williams brothers. I think he has a subpar game. I think this is more of a passing day for them. I think JJ Taylor, I think Bolden have more of an outlook. And I think this is a game where it's more of a pass-happy game rather than a run-happy game. He still could be a good starter. I just don't see the numbers being that good this week.
Yeah, I agree with that. My bold sit, T. Higgins, not as bold as my last few where I said sit Saquon, sit Marquise Brown, sit Gibson, but this is one of my bolder sits this week, especially with the case of the Biomageddon and whatnot. Wide receiver T. Higgins, averaging 12.4 fantasy points per game. He's playing a Baltimore Ravens team that is sixth best versus the wide receiver and top 10 in receiving yards against the wide receivers. He's only had 18 receptions through the 4 games that he has played, averaging about 4.5 receptions per game. His best finish this year has only been wide receiver 27. And this week 7, it ain't going to get much better versus the Baltimore Ravens. My week 7 bold sip projection, 4 catches, 50 yards for Mr. T. Higgins, ultimately making him a sit. All right. We good? That's it for us, brother. We want to thank Nate for coming on the show. Another great guest for us. Go check him out at Janate Jack FF on Twitter. Thanks, Craps Teacher, for joining in. You can get us everywhere, Twitter, Facebook, on the uSTADIUM app. The links are in the bio. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. Stefan, let them know where they can find you, brother.
Twitter, Bearish Bombs, uSTADIUM the Bearish. I'm more than happy to answer your questions all week, all the way up to 1 o'clock. I don't care what I'm doing. I will answer your questions and let them rip. Let me know what you need help on. You will find the answers and you will find the help.
Yeah, get to the app, get to the uSTADIUM app. The Apple link is in the description. The Android link is in the description. Go download it. Join the Fantasy Football Stadium. You will find us. We will answer all your questions leading up to 1, leading up to 4, leading up to Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, waivers, starts, sits, ads, drops, and everything in between. Thank you for joining. We appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday where we got none other than NFL Network's Marcus Grant. Let's go. We're on at a special time, a 1 p.m. on Tuesday. That's 1 p.m. on Tuesday. Mark it on your calendars, and don't forget to join in. See you guys. Good luck.
Have a good